That's
Streaming online at party1019.com. This is New York's number one for throwbacks. The new Party 1019, a Nexus radio station.
Hey Village, welcome to another episode of WomanHood Decoded, where each episode I endeavor to explore the intersections of womanhood, motherhood, and sexuality. So today I have with me in studio two very dynamic personalities. So unlike my other episodes where I have had one person, like the Bible says, where two or three are gathered. The topic for today is rest. Initially, it was going to be Black women in rest, but now it's just going to be rest for us, for the culture. So, welcome to the conversation. So, today I have with me
LaShasta. I am a licensed professional counselor, a certified sleep science coach, a certified corporate wellness coach, and above all, I am a Black woman, a mom, a wife, a sister, a daughter, a friend.
I love that. So, I'm not really sure how we crossed paths, but I am just super blessed that we did, because when we spoke, well, first of all, whenever I'm interested in having a podcast guest, I send a link and then we have a podcast strategy session. During our strategy session, first of all, it felt like I was actually having an intake for one of my therapists, because when I tell you it was deep, people, it was deep. And one thing that I came away with was that you told me that rest is productive. And the reason I want to kind of delve into that a little bit or a lot, depending on your capacity today, because I also don't want it to be me focused. I want it to be us focused. And I want you to feel comfortable today. And I don't want it to really feel like questions, but I do want to kind of talk about some topics, if that's something that, is okay.
Absolutely. And look, I it's unfortunate it felt like an intake session. But one thing I've learned, and I will go back to the place where some of it started, and that's at the Prairie View A&M University. We were taught, don't play with it. Mm-hmm. Like, if there is an issue, there's a problem, you see it, jump in, do your part, do what you have to do. So when you were like, wait, hold on, and I saw your face when I said, it's like, oh wait, sis not sleeping. Like, we're not resting. So, I'm going to give you as much as I can in that time. And same as now, I'm well slept, I'm well rested. So whatever the people need, let's give the people what they need.
Yes. So I want to also talk about one of the things I believe I saw somewhere on your social media, in that people in your life, you have been so good at establishing your personal boundaries that people, no matter whether it is your sister or anyone, they know that if it's not an emergency, there are two words that you say. And I would like if you would tell the audience how you differentiate. Because for me, what I do is, well, I'm a mother as well, and I'm a solo parent. The reason I don't say single mom anymore as much is because, well, I got a whole man in my life. Hallelujah. So I don't want to just keep saying, because I am a married woman, is what it is. But as it pertains to my parent journey, I'm doing it by myself. So I say that I'm a solo parent. I feel like that's more accurate. Anyway, I just want you to for me, I just turn my phone on do not disturb. Mm-hmm. And another thing that I did this summer that has really helped me is I turn all of the notifications off for all of the apps, yes, with the exception of Gmail. Because if it's important, people will take time and put it in an email. But as far as my text and all of my DMs, and another thing that I did that has been very helpful is I have a social media manager now.
Oh, good.
And so I don't check my messages or post. I just email her my content and then she posts on my behalf.
Okay.
So that has taken a lot of emotional stress that I was carrying. But I want to get back to the point of the two different ways that you figure out
The
whether
two words.
something, yes,
And
is
you
important.
said one of them, important or urgent. Some things are important. Some things are urgent. Some things are neither.
Mm-hmm.
And people will try to make their emergency your emergency.
Mm-hmm.
And so understanding the difference, literally you just said, if people think it's important, they'll put it in the email. Right. But then if you didn't have that boundary, they would make all of their urgencies your emergency.
That's
and
what
want
was
to
happening.
text and want to call. And so understanding the difference. And for me, it was required because I have anxiety disorder. So it's GAD for short, generalized anxiety disorder, which will make everything feel important. It will make everything feel urgent if it's not managed properly. So for my life's journey, I had to realize for my best good, the boundaries had to go in place, and I had to establish what's important and what's urgent for myself in order for me to be able to communicate it to others. Because the thing about boundaries, people want to say it's for everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have boundaries for yourself first. And without a healthy EQ, emotional intelligence, with having self-awareness and being able to reflect on that, you can't have boundaries for yourself, which means you can't teach other people how to treat you and have those boundaries. So it's a whole journey that takes place before you just say, oh, I'm going to set this boundary. Well, setting it is the easy part.
Living it and actually applying it. So for me, I want to stay stuck on this topic a little bit because prior to the advent of the smartphone, I think I was way better at having boundaries because, for example, I had a BlackBerry, like everybody else did. And because
some of us did. No.
And so, obviously it's a work device, but then it became a personal device somewhere along the journey. But the reason I bring up my BlackBerry is because I loved it because I'm an excellent typist. But I also loved it because I felt like I was able to communicate with more people. Whereas before the advent of the BlackBerry, I felt like I couldn't get to everybody as far as texting and emailing and stuff. But it made me able to talk to everybody I needed to for work and personal efficiently because I'm fast with my thumbs. But then with the advent of the smartphone or with the iPhone, what it did for my life is it created turmoil. And the reason is because, well, there's apps on it that, like Facebook and Instagram and all the rest, and all of it is on 24 hours. There's no off on it. And if you are a person that for whatever reason works a night shift or just a person that has insomnia or whatever your life issue is, there's a green button on there that says online. And so now people, if anyone sees my online button, the assumption is now I want to interact. And because of my personality, I'm a people pleaser and I am a leader. And also I'm going to disclose that I am on the spectrum. And as it pertains to autism, I had a recent diagnosis, and I feel empowered by my diagnosis. Initially, I felt, I guess I felt heavy, just because I wondered how people were going to judge me because I felt like I'm always being judged.
Well, their judgment is none of your business.
It isn't. But
it's
for
theirs
me,
to have.
I feel like it's helped me to try to understand, because when you said a key word, which was self-awareness a little while ago. So I'm really into that because I feel like if I can understand myself, then I can understand how to navigate life better.
Absolutely. But when you talk about the iPhone and the notifications and it creating turmoil, and you're probably not the only one, but understanding that smart device is only as smart as we allow it to be in our lives. So just like they have the apps we can take the apps off. Like, I don't literally have the Facebook and Instagram app on my phone where I can just pick it up and click. I have to go and search for it, which means it gives me more time to be intentional. That same smart device also will allow you to put limits. And once again, we have to choose the boundaries for ourselves first. Because if you're up late at night, you have insomnia, whatever it may be, you have to choose to pick that device up and go to that app to be online. But if you have already told yourself, I want to be more intentional about my sleep, I want to be more intentional about my rest, then before the insomnia hit at night, you've already put boundaries for yourself that says, don't let me use this app after this many hours or after this time. And I've had that struggle because I want to go and I was like, oh yeah, I did tell my morning self said my night self was going to try to do this. So my morning self put this in. And that's the reason why I tell people your sleep is cultivated from the moment you wake up.
Absolutely.
It should be. Ideally, every decision you make throughout the day should contribute to positive, productive rest and sleep.
And or productivity. And so for me, I started with switching my mindset, which is people typically think that talk about Monday blues and Monday yuck and Monday nothing positive. And I was a part of that. But then my mentor said, no, you need to wake up every Monday and think of it as money making Monday.
Come on now.
And so she said the reason for that is because if I have a strong Monday and a strong Tuesday and a strong Wednesday, absolutely I can have a good Friday. And I can relax and not feel negative or bad or whatever about it. And I feel like that has really shifted my perspective, because on Sunday, typically my mind is already thinking yuck Monday, but because now I am thinking it's money making Monday, now I'm looking at my to-do list and I'm looking at it strategically. And the point of it as it pertains to my rest is from the moment I wake up at 4:30 every single morning, and people are like, well, why are you waking up so early, Tasha? That's your problem. Well, for me, I feel like if I can work 6 or 8 hours for somebody else as an entrepreneur, then I can work 6 or 8 hours for myself. So that's what I do. I split it between self-care and working in whatever capacity as a freelancer or whatever have you in the morning. So I do my morning meditation through the Chopra app. I don't know how you say Chopra. Deepak Chopra. I'm not sure how you say his name the right way. Deepak Chopra.
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
So he helps me. He's he's from India, but he explains things from an Eastern medicine perspective. And also he looks at you from a holistic health way of thinking, as opposed to somehow a lot of the times in Western medicine, I find that if you are having an issue with your heart, for example, you go to a cardiac specialist, or if you're having issues breathing or asthma, you go to a respiratory specialist. But in his way of thinking and of the body, you go to a holistic health practitioner. So the purpose of it is all of the systems work together. And so if one of the systems is off, it's typically going to impact the other systems. And so I'm going to tie it all together to rest, in that when I wake up early in the morning, I already know that I'm going to stop working at a particular time. And I already know that if I don't meet my super packed to-do list as it pertains to what I need to do in a day, I no longer punish myself internally for that. I just put it to the next day.
Good for you.
And so that has really, really helped me in my rest in my mind, because one of the reasons why I found I couldn't sleep was because I was hyper focused on what I didn't feel like I should have achieved. And so I was sitting, basically beating myself up for not being more efficient. And then add to that, I'm a single mom. So whatever worked well or didn't work well as it pertained to my motherhood throughout the day. And then add to that whatever didn't work in my personal life.
Which is most women. Most of us are sitting around stacking the to-do list. And if I be honest, most of the time, the to-do list, it's more time than you have to get it done, period. And that's the value of observing and self-reflecting. How long does it really take to do a load of laundry? How long does it really take to do X, Y, and Z? I used to, not used to, I still use it when I need to.
Mm-hmm.
It's by Intellect Journey or something like that, but it's called a productivity planner.
Mm-hmm.
And part of what it asks is like, what are the top 3 things that you need to do today?
Mm-hmm.
And you do those things in that order. You don't get to go to number 2 if you don't finish number 1. So it really makes you sit and reflect and prioritize what's important. What are the top 3 things? And then you go so far as to break down the time. So I'm also diagnosed with ADHD.
Oh, that's all of us, huh? I guess it's a Black thing.
Look, it's not. Because let me tell you, not all of us are, but there are some of us that are not. that should be. But
Mm-hmm.
when we had my son tested when he was younger, I sat and did the testing also, just out of curiosity, because I knew that I had a different way of doing things that a lot of people felt like was laborsome, but I felt like it was the only way to do it.
Absolutely.
And that's because of the way my brain was wired. But with that, when it's all over the place, I pull that tool out, that strategy, and I go, okay, if these are the 3 things I need to do I really have enough time on Tuesday to do it, or would it be better to do on Wednesday?
Mm-hmm.
And then that way it helps, because we release happy hormones in our brain when we get to check the box. Endorphins are released, and that feels good.
Are we talking about dopamine?
Dopamine, that's right. Dopamine.
I love science.
Yes. Dopamine is released in the brain. And so that's part of the reason why when we don't finish that to-do list, we don't feel great, compared to when we do finish that to-do list, we feel great. And being able to understand that to-do list shouldn't have a whole lot of things on it. And rest should be on the list. We don't earn rest, y'all. We do not earn rest. Rest is a birthright, right? And let me tell you this, I am a God's girl. And right now, most of the world they say that we're Christian, which means, guess what? It's in the Bible, back and forward. It's so many scriptures that pertain to rest. I mean, God didn't really even need to rest, but he did just
on the 7th day.
On the 7th day, just to say, hey, y'all follow my example. He didn't need it. Like, come on.
He's God.
He's God. However,
he rested.
He wanted us to know to take rest. So the next time you think, I'm going to do all of these things and then I'm going to rest. No, I'm going to do a few of these things and then I'm going to rest. But now let's talk about what rest looks like, because
I wanted to pause just for a second before you get to it, just to make it practical. So for me, on here, you'll see that this is a device, obviously, and I have my actual calendar that has colors and things that I like because colors. But for me, I found that in September, I started doing this, which is I started writing down. And so that made me very intentional about my time, because sometimes when it's called, time blocking?
Yes.
I started doing time blocking way back when it came to, I don't know, high school or something. They taught me time blocking. And, so you do a certain amount of time for language arts, a certain amount of time for this. And so then when I became an adult, it was like, okay, a certain amount of time for email, a certain amount of time for meetings, a certain amount of time for in-office hours, for example.
Yes.
So I still have another thing that I feel like is a little bit under this. And when you're talking about mind maps, because that's how my mind works, it's one central idea and things kind of go off of it. But under that is there is a meme that I feel like is very detrimental to us as Black women. And it says that Beyonce and you have the same 24 hours. And I want to dispel that myth. And the reason why I want to dispel it is because I think it's very important that people understand that Beyonce has a staff. And so she doesn't have the same 24 hours. And the reason I want to make that important, or I want to talk about it as it pertains to rest and as it pertains to, my time little journal and things like that, my journal that I write down. And then as you see, I use another color to say I did it.
Right.
I did it.
And I'm pretty sure what you notice is that because I do this sometimes, you end up doing more things than you realize you did, because you end up doing things that's not even on a to-do list. But that's a whole nother story for another day.
But getting to the thing about Beyonce that I want people to understand is, first of all, and it's nothing against, so the bees and the people in the hive, y'all don't got to come for me. But I want
You know they will, so don't even try to
No,
prep
look,
it.
I'm over
Safe
here
is-
kind of side-eye
Yes.
podcast because I might be part of the beehive.
listen, the thing,
Podcast father, I might be part of the beehive. So I'm trying to hear her
but
out.
this is what I want people to understand, that she has a staff that curates her image. Wherever she goes, there's somebody that there's a makeup artist, there's a stylist, and all of those things. Now, I do have a traveling hairstylist, so typically my hair is where it needs to be on any given day. But I feel like it's important when it comes to my social media that I tell people that, look, what you see me having or how I'm put together, it's because there is somebody that has helped me to get to this and helped me to achieve this.
Right.
I didn't wake up like this. This is some, and then I also tell people that I don't just say the word veteran to be a jerk. I say it because I want people to understand that because I've been doing this for so long, that there are things like I have interns. I have access to help. And as a result of me having access to resources and help, my 24 hours isn't set up like somebody that might not have, an intern or might
Right.
not have a social media manager.
So
because of all these little pieces coming together.
We all do get the same 24 hours. Yes, we do. We all get the same 24 hours. How we choose to navigate those 24 hours is different.
Okay.
Because if we continue on the Beyonce path, she has different duties and responsibilities that take up her 24 hours that she could allow to choose to keep her up at night. She's a mom. She's a wife. Now, does she have different
business owner?
She's
Yeah.
multiple business
Yeah.
owners. Does she have a different level of support? Absolutely. But she also has a different level of responsibility. So it becomes more about how you navigate your time and not letting your time run you. Is literally what it is. We all do. Like, as much as I love her, she don't get a 25th hour. She does get the same amount as we do. It is about asking for help.
Key.
Knowing first, let me back up. You got to know what you need to ask for help.
Step one.
And I've literally been in room with Black and brown women as an international speaker. When I tell them to take a moment to ask themselves what they need, some of them go to tears because they cannot identify what it is that they need. Because help and asking for help is so foreign. And so if asking for help is foreign, then knowing what you need is even a further task. So you have to know.
I think the problem or the barrier to asking for help is we have been told that we're supposed to be the strong Black woman. And then you add to it, songs like, I think Patty was trying to tell us, in her "I'm Not Your Superwoman," that song. It might have been not been Patty.
That wasn't Patty. Boo.
That was somebody else.
I feel like that was Betty Wright. Who was that?
The point is the song "I'm Not a Superwoman." But I think the bottom line when it comes to it is like we feel like we have to carry everything. We have to be the safe place for our man or our husband or partner or whatever way we are choosing to love. And then we need to be the boss at work, whether or not we really want to be. And then we are the same thing in the community or the church. So in every way that we turn around, we are the one in charge of something. And
but that's by choice.
Karen White.
There you go. That's by choice. Because you said feelings are fleeing. Facts remain.
Okay. Say some more words.
So
say some more words. It's crazy.
That means we get to decide. I get to decide. Literally, we were just talking off air and you were saying how when you go into a space, you go into a space with the intention of being X, Y, and Z, and you can be in that space for 3 weeks, 3 months, and they want you to be ABC. You make the decision of either staying where you desire or going to where others desire you to be. That's on you.
Yeah, and the another thing I want to add in is the be a strong Black woman. That didn't come from men. That come from other women saying that as well too, and pumping each other up, which is like a affirmation type of thing. But it's not a thing where you have to be something more than what you are. It's just letting you know, don't be weak, like be strong, because the world is not for us, and that's men, woman, children, just, I think that's what that was. And then some people took it as like, oh, I got this burden on my back to be a strong black woman.
And we
But
took
it's like,
it and ran with it, is what you're saying?
Well, and how are you
Hey, I
defining
didn't say it.
strong? And how are you defining weak? Because for me, it's strength in asking for help.
Yep, I'm with you on that.
Like that ish is hard. It used to be, but now I'd be like right now, my mom at my house helping with my toddler son, and she was like, is anything you need me to do? Anything you see, player. Anything, any room, any space. And it used to be like, no, Mom, I'm good. It'll be all right. Or even I would even have the audacity to have cleaning service come while my mom was there, and she would get offended. I'm like, I just want you to rest. I told them, take the month off. My mama coming. Like literally being in that space. So once you break that barrier or believing that strong means not asking for help, strong means doing everything yourself, strong means we get to define what strong means. For me right now, strength is in asking for help. Strength is in community. Strength is in knowing I do not have to do it all to rest. I do not have to do it all in a day. Strength is in knowing that the dishwasher doesn't have to be ran every day. And if you judging me, judge your mama, because I don't have time. It doesn't. Because if you rinse the dishes, because let's be honest, most black folk damn near wash the dishes.
Yeah, because
before they put it in the dishwasher.
Boy, if you don't wash them damn dishes out.
Right. Like all the way out.
Right.
So then if it's not full, then what's the point in needing to run it?
Okay.
Especially if that one more thing is messing with my bedtime. It's like, okay, I get to a point in the evening where I'm like, I've done as much as I'm going to do, because to do more means now I'm infringing on my right to have sleep hygiene.
Right. I want to talk about the right to sleep. And I think it is something that I feel has been passed on from generation to generation, as it particularly has to do with rest. And I'm going to connect it to self-care, because I honestly feel like I was told that I didn't deserve self-care unless I had reached a certain benchmark. And then I want to connect that also to mental health, in that I basically took on the understanding that first of all, the fact that I go to a therapist and I have, consistently now for some years, it's kind of like, well, that's another, I'm just going to be honest. My friends say that I do a lot of white woman activities.
Child, look.
I'm so serious.
What is it early enough to drink? No,
I'm just so serious.
Didn't enough people jack what we do? Why is like, do people say we acting like black girls? Or they actually do. If you start snapping your fingers too much and moving your neck. So it is what it is. We need to claim the things that we do as being black people and say, yo, the world took this and no, it's not appropriating it. Not it's dope and that's they like it and we do it and that's that. So if you want to go and hold your finger up and go into a nice little prissy restaurant that we never used to have access to, and they call that doing white people stuff, then do it. That's what I do on Wall Street. That's exactly what I do.
That's what I do, period. Because if we be honest, if we go back to our ancestors in the village, was there not a wise counsel that people sought out? Okay. Biblically, does it not say to seek counsel of the wise? And so part of that is the mental health journey, because mental health is everything. It's the way you think. It's the way you see the world. It's the way you engage people in the world.
But you know that for the longest time, I feel like we've just finally sort of gotten comfortable with that, because in my family, I'm going to be honest about my family, because I can't talk about everybody else's lived experiences. But in my family, it's kind of like everybody got in my circle growing up. There was somebody got an off cousin or an off uncle.
Oh, they just like that.
Yeah. And they say stuff like, just leave him alone on Thanksgiving, or, there's little things that I was told. And basically that person is not getting the support that they needed. They were not getting, services, whether it's talk therapy or medicine, psychotropics, or whatever it was to help them navigate it, whatever it is, then it was just, that's just how they are. Leave them be. And then, like that. And that was actually my generation growing up in the 90s.
Right.
But now fast forward, I'm in my 40s at this point, and now I have a child. And my daughter knows the word self-care.
Mhm.
She knows about quiet time. She knows about disturbing mommy's peace. She knows about quiet activities. And the reason I have using this language is because when I grew up, my mom, she would just say when we came home, there's just no talking. And then she would also say children are supposed to be seen and not heard. And you put those together, and then you add to it that
what
need to be
goes on in this house stays in this house. Let's add that.
And you have to also put into it, you have to be twice as good. So that in order to be even seen as basic, as far as in academic and or work situations. So you add all of that together, and that's a formula for me being hyper aware or hyper everything in a work or academic setting. So in other words, I became a super achiever. Because I felt like that was the only way for me to navigate, was for me to be the best. There was never any idea of me being, because the second place is the first loser, I was told.
Yep.
But
Wow.
then,
That's my saying too.
but then somebody told me that's not true. Second place is just second place, that everybody did well. But I think the problem is, I think this generation, I think we might be doing a little bit of damage when it comes to over coddling, in that, for example, everybody gets a trophy for showing up. And I think that's a little bit problematic, because I want my daughter to understand what it feels like to achieve, but I also want her to understand disappointment. And the reason, not just for the sake of disappointment, but disappointment helps you to create character or build character. Because if you don't ever run into a wall, if you don't ever fall down, then you can't ever get back up. And so what I feel like a lot of the problem, as far as me honestly navigating life at this point in my life, is I have the tools and the strategies to navigate work and academic situations. I have now, as it pertains to self-awareness, I have just now understood that I was coddled by my family and our religion, honestly. In that I was female.
Arabia.
And so because of that, if there was a difficulty, then the difficulty was absorbed by either my dad or my brothers. And so now, fast forward, I feel like I have been handicapped when it comes to navigating difficulty socially, because I know how to go to HR, for example, if something happens at work. I know how to go to the dean if something happens in a school setting. But when it comes to navigating a difficulty or a challenge in a relationship, my default is to leave or to break up. And then the women in my family say things like, well, if there's not abuse, if this and that isn't happening. And then in my mind, I'm like, well, wait a minute. Are you saying that I now need to be abused in order to leave my relationship?
Wow. That was the old folks way of thinking.
Right.
Because they're saying, what are you leaving for? He's a good man. He goes to work every day and, he's contributing. But I'm saying he's stealing my peace. And so to me.
So he can't steal it.
Well, okay, he's not adding to my peace. He's not doing anything to support my peace.
There you go. And the reason why I correct is because you are right. We were brought up in a generation that was taught to be quiet, to not be seen. And if we talk about epigenetics and the passing of trauma, that goes all the way back to slavery.
Right.
We were not originated to be hushed, to be silent. It was a learned behavior.
Right.
And now in our generation, yes, we've had those conversations, and we've been told kids should be seen and not heard. And now that's what's keeping us up at night. That's what's causing us not to rest.
I don't want to sound like my mom.
We're trying to reconcile. And so that's where
but I love you, Mom.
Right.
I do love you, Mom.
Right, exactly.
Throw that in there.
Throw it in there. And so now we're trying to reconcile what we experience with the knowledge we have now to create to break a generational curse, to create something different. And that's why you're teaching your daughter about quiet time and rest and things of that nature and self-care, while still battling with your own narrative of it. And that's okay.
So that's where the cognitive dissonance comes in. And so I want to kind of talk, because I think this is going to be good, if you don't mind to just go down with this with me.
I'm with you.
What I want to talk about is how I come across. Because what I'm
So are we going to analyze you right now?
Yes.
Right. This is
going to be a therapy session for just like a couple minutes.
Podcast father what is it?
Podfather.
Podfather. See, look, I didn't broke.
You
I
can
didn't
say
give
what
you
you
a
want.
whole
Just spell
nother
my name right. It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, but I want y'all to
I
take
need
a
you to
moment.
chime in on this.
Yes,
I'm here.
I would love for you to.
This
do
is the woman that broke down to me the other day why she got to take a extra large Uber uptown. I'm like, why does it cost us so much to go like 20 blocks up? She said, oh, I need the big truck because I need all the space. I was like, you're little.
No, because they carry a lot of equipment and stuff, and it's
they got a trunk. They got a trunk. But go ahead, you go off, sis. You got it.
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So this is what I would like, because people often say that they feel like I am basically the archetype. What's a word outside of a word that's out? Itch, something that itches. Mm-hmm. So I am that. With you add the B to it.
Oh.
And so and then they say, I get to know you and you're super cool. Mm-hmm. But initially I thought you were this and this and that.
They was projecting.
Come on now. Because I was just about to say, I mean, I've been in that space and been there, and people say, oh, I didn't know you were so cool. Well, that's your bad.
You didn't take the time to do the research.
Right. That's your bad for not knowing. Like, literally, I had an aunt when my grandmother died in 2018, and I went and I was helping and supporting, and she was like, oh, I like this LaShasta. I said, and this is the LaShasta that has always been. You're just not choosing to see it. So it is what it is. You have to be willing to decide whose narrative is most important. And take what you need and leave the rest.
Because the point of me saying all of this is, I mean, I love having the opportunity to have this platform, WomanHood Decoded, because I'm trying to understand. Well, first of all, I'm a nerd and I love Inspector Gadget. So that's the reason why, because I'm always trying to research and get to the bottom of something. Mm-hmm. So that's because I'm trying to decode what being successful in our generation is in comparison to what success was in the previous generation. Because a lot obviously has changed in one generation.
Absolutely.
Because my mom, for example, she's been married since she got married. And she's going to continue to be married. It's going to be like that. So they've been married for 40 plus years. So it's my age plus 7 is how, because they were married for 7 years and then I came along. And so I'm 41 and then you add 7 to it. That's how long they've been married. And so then me, I'm not married. And so what happened? It's not that I don't want to be married, but then I kind of sort of don't. But that's another. That's another.
Well, when you go to therapy, you have to tell the truth and be transparent so that we can help you. So you gotta say these things. You can't like not tell us these things. So you don't really want to be married, so that we could take that off the table.
But I do want to. I do.
Oh,
want,
now you
the
do.
Thing is, I want partnership, but I'm not thrilled about the title of wife, because the title of wife to me comes with stress and it comes with expectations. Like
not always, but go ahead.
I'm saying,
go ahead. You're about to project now.
I am. For me, the word wife, because we have to define rest for ourselves.
Go back to Beyonce again and use her as an example.
We got to define.
You have to define all the words for yourself.
But for me, when I hear the word wife, I'm triggered. Because
because you haven't defined it for yourself.
Yes, I have. Let me explain it real fast. For me, when I hear wife, I hear what my mom does. So, for example, she does the flower arrangements. She does the place settings. She does the whole atmosphere of the house. And somehow she also is involved in the community. She is involved in the church.
But that's not your definition. That's your example. They're two different things.
And so when I think about wife, I'm like, I don't have time for none of that.
That's your example. That's not your definition. That's the example that you have seen. So that was the word wife being personified. But now you have to decide on your terms.
Yes, but then here's the thing,
does wife mean?
When I'm in the real world navigating like dates and stuff and men relationships. And so then they tell me, I ask them, what are your expectations for this situation moving forward? And then they say things like, well, first of all, you work too many hours, so you need to stop that. And then I'm thinking in my mind, so are you going to now support my lifestyle? Meaning my black car and my nails and hair and everything else.
Extra large.
Yeah, all the other things that and the reason why I do those things isn't because I'm trying to be or project anything, but I've worked hard.
Absolutely.
At this point. And I'm not struggling to do nothing. I'm not doing nothing difficult.
Because you want your sip and savor life.
Yes. And I protect that.
You want your mindful hustle life. And so here's the thing. You put the question out there,
Mhm.
they're answering it based on their knowledge and what they have in a situation.
And they want me to stay at the house.
But you get
answer.
to choose to exit that,
Which
you
is I
asked it.
do.
And there
so
you
that's
go.
why there's no ring here.
You'll find the one.
I do.
Or,
I think
or
I
he'll,
have.
or,
He's found me.
or he'll find you.
He found me.
Because that's not every man's definition of a wife. Some men haven't even established their definition because they're open to being receptive and receive what life has for them. But rolling it back to like your rest and sleep, being able to understand that all of the isms, all of the traditional phrases, whether they are trauma responses, whether they are triggers, all of that keeps going in the background in your subconscious until you give it a place and a space. So until you decide, like, let me sit down and define wife for myself and understand that my mom is the example.
And my grandmama.
That
she was making real bread, not even going to the grocery and going to get bread. Like my grandma literally rolled the dough and had the ingredients.
And some women still do. Like literally, I was on Threads.
I can make bread. I was on for the record.
I was on Threads or something, and a lady that I follow who is an amazing CEO. Someone asked, like, are we still checking in with our man to see if he's ate at the end of the day after we worked hard? And her response was, I don't check because I know that he hasn't. And this is my husband and I choose to cook every day. That's the difference. She chooses to cook. She's not saying he expects me to cook every day. She knows that he probably hasn't eaten because she cook every day. He's going to come home to a meal. And she is a mogul in her own right. But she showed up and created her own definition. I don't cook every day. I cook some days when I feel like it.
I only cook
but we're going to eat every day.
I feel like it.
But we're going to eat every day.
Hallelujah.
Some way, somehow, you know. But we
I ate because my man made it this morning. Look at that.
See?
God.
There you go. And so understanding that if we don't address the things of our past and attend to the things of our present,
going to repeat.
You're not going to be able to rest. You're not going to be able to sleep because it all goes back to that. Wanting to be more productive. And that's why I'm like, okay, yes, rest is productive. When we rest, we are renewing ourselves. We're recovering. Like the Podfather said, he'll drop a nap in a minute. Like if I literally was like, when I'm gonna listen to my body. So that right there was like, ding, ding, ding. Emotional intelligence is in the room because he's paying attention to his body. As Black and brown women, as women, period, but especially Black women, we will not listen to our body. Now, let me tell you this.
Sleep. Oh, I'm going to pop this pill and get some extra. I'm going to drink this power drink. Why are you drinking a power drink? If you don't have it, you don't have it. Go to sleep.
Come on. Exactly. Like the market boom of 5-hour drinks. I remember when it was only like the little
ones that be at the gas station.
Yes. What is it? No dose?
Yes.
That was the only thing that was on the market.
Those.
Oh, Jesus.
I lived on that.
Tasha.
Because news happens 24 hours. And
so
I need to
sleep.
Be the one.
So can sleep.
But I need to be the one to break the news. I don't need to be the one to be at the news. So,
which goes back to the hustle and grind culture teaching us what our definition of productive is and what accomplishments need to be had to be productive. I want to live as long as God says I'm going to live. So I'm not giving years back on some, I need to grind till I die. Because that's literally what's taking place.
Right.
Every time y'all choose not to go to sleep and get 7 to 9 hours, you're saying, oh, Lord, I know you might want me to live to 80, but here go these last 10 years back. I'm going to kill myself early. So the soft life that everybody working for, it's going to be a short life. And somebody else going to enjoy that soft life that you've created from the hustle and bustle. Like literally, we have to stop. It is killing us. 7 of the 15 chronic diseases tied to sleep deprivation. 7 of the 15. But most of the time when we go to the doctor, what they are not prescribing is sleep.
And if they are, then they are prescribing a problematic
drug.
Yes. And that has a plethora of side effects. And so I want to also get back to ancestral knowledge as it pertains to just navigating wellness. So I started out initially talking about holistic health. So I grew up even though there's a lot of problematic things, one of the positive things of my youth was learning the value of herbs and herbal medicine. And so in my home, when we were ill, we didn't go to the pharmacy. When something was the matter with us, we went to the backyard or we went to an apothecary to figure out, okay, you need ginger. If you are congested, you need lemon, you need cayenne pepper, something to break up the mucus, and then you need a touch of honey, and then you put lemon with it, because lemon is something that automatically it's like a disinfectant for your body. And so because I know those things, I know about, I'm into preventative health. Meaning I'm doing things so that I don't get sick. And so if I've gotten sick, it's because, well, either I'm not doing what I should be, or what it honestly is, I haven't slept. And so, and then my body can't fight because I don't have an immune system as I should. So I know the information, but I'm working to actually apply what I know, because we know a lot, but what are we actually living for? And so what I want to know, Podfather, from your lived experience, when you see women and when you see or the youth coming up, for example, because you're always teaching and stuff in schools. And, I think that's amazing, the work that you do.
Thank you.
As it pertains to, just giving children a voice in a way to be able to have an outlet.
I'm the opposite of that saying. Children need to be seen and heard, because they be knowing more than their parents, but we're not going to wake that up right now.
Right. Woo, that's heavy.
Look, I have a 19-year-old and he be giving me the business.
So
and I accept it.
What I want to know from your perspective, what are you hearing or seeing when you are navigating those spaces when it comes to academia? Are you feeling like the kids are learning from our mistakes as it pertains to how we have been navigating, living our lives and trying to do and be everything? Or do you feel that there is still a whole lot of work to be done to not really fix the next generation coming, but what are you noticing when you are interacting?
So I'm definitely noticing that, because we're talking about sleep, that some of the kids come in tired with their heads on the desk, and it's not their fault that they're sleepy. A lot of the home situations get them to that point where they just don't have it, and it's unfortunate because I'm the type of teacher, I wouldn't come down on it till he got his head down. And I go tap him on the shoulder and say what's going on. Oh, I don't feel too well. I didn't get enough sleep last night. I'm not gonna be like, well, you should have been to bed on time. Like, we don't know what's going on, especially in the Bronx or in Brooklyn or Queens, some of these boroughs that I'm in. So I'm just gonna go ahead and let them just get that rest. Keep your head down, because I know that if I had to put my head down, listen, I need to put my head down. Like, that's what I just said. When I know it's time to lay down, I lay down. And all of this chasing money and so, all right, let me go back. They follow our leads. So a lot of the parents, they know the song by Keisha Cole's Love, right? They know the song backwards. If you had to let them sing it backwards, how do they know that song at 10, 11, and 12? It's because they heard their parents listening to it, and then they feel they don't have those emotions yet. Like, they don't have all of that, but they felt it because they probably seen
my mom and them crying to it. I know.
So a lot of it. So if we look at our kids, this is a test for all parents out there. Look at your kids, think about how you are, how you curse, how you move or whatever, and then just see what your kid is doing now in public. Like, my son, I can bring him around people. He's not going to just be out cursing and carrying on. He's not going to go in somebody's refrigerator without asking. It's a lot of things he's just not going to do, because guess what? We didn't raise him like that. So when you see kids being bad, let's not get them. Let's go past them and talk to their parents, because that's who is the creator of the madness.
Look at the example. Absolutely. I was in
Thank you for that, Podfather.
Look,
it's good to have a man in the room.
On the Woman Decoded show, right?
Listen.
Butterfly on the wall.
Because here's the thing. We can't decode womanhood without a male perspective. Just period. Like, at all. And I was recently training a group of managers that's for after school daycare program.
Okay.
And one of the ladies was saying she was tired because her daughter had champion softball game the night before, or I should say the morning before, because the game started at 12:30 a.m. This baby was 7 years old. And granted, like, yes, school may have been out for her that next day, but sleep debt does not work like that. Because you missed 2 hours on Monday, you sleep an extra 2 hours on Tuesday. You didn't recover those 2 hours on Monday.
Well, my app tells me I have, so my app.
My app.
No, because it will say that I have a sleep debt of whatever percent.
No,
because
she is too
this
cute.
watch I
My
wear
app.
because I like it, but typically when I sleep, I use my Apple Watch because it tracks my sleep. Because I'm into trying to figure out. Because now that I am aware of my issues and situations, I'm trying to. Not necessarily fix it, but I'm trying to at least.
But you can say you can fix it. Because
I'm trying to work
some
on
some of it can be
navigating it better. Because
Absolutely.
I don't want to ever feel like I have reached any sort of perfection.
Here's the thing: you can fix one problem and another one can arise. It's like a leaky faucet, right? You can change the ring out one place, and then it may have a trickle effect to something else. So we can fix. I have fixed your sleep situation. Relationship with sleep. Okay. You know, I can remember as early as 8 years old. And let me tell you, I don't have a lot of childhood memories. That's another story for another day. But at 8, being in awe of how my dad's girlfriend seemed like she fell asleep midair, which meant for me, I would be awake upwards of an hour at 8 because I was wondering, did I say the right thing? Did I do the right thing? I should have said this instead of that. That followed me through my childhood into my young adulthood. So I can say I fixed that because sis go to sleep. I don't care what kind of storm. It could be external, like a hurricane, because we in Texas. It could be internal, like a tornado. It could be like a tsunami in the house because everybody in they move. But what LaShasta gonna do? Go to sleep. And not be disrupted because I have made peace and I have learned how to establish my peace and maintain it through any external and internal trauma. So I have fixed that.
I like that.
Thank you.
I like that because I think too, I also have battled with feeling like I can't really be an authority on something if I haven't mastered it. And I kind of feel like, I think I struggle with, can I teach it or tell somebody about it unless I have a certification for it, kind of, sort of.
So here's the thing. Mastery doesn't necessarily mean completion. So I can say I mastered one part of my sleep hygiene, but it doesn't mean it's completed because I'm still living each and every day. Okay. So like I tell people, there are instances I'll be up past my bedtime. Last night we went to see a show. I knew the show started at 7, so I knew what time it was going to end. Right. So I readjusted. So my app, because I have my Apple Watch, but I also have an app called Sleep Cycle, will show that I was in the bed for about 8.5 hours and got 7.5 hours of quality sleep because I plan and adjust accordingly. When I went to go see Usher in Vegas, it was an amazing couples trip. We had a good time. And I knew I was going to be up late. So I adjusted. And not to say that our circadian rhythm is our circadian rhythm. Right. But what I do is I lower the temperature a little bit lower, like I did last night. I put my eye mask on.
I do too, because I can't.
So that no light comes in. And even though my body woke up around the same time it usually do on Central Time,
3:57.
Without
the alarm.
I just laid there and rest because your circadian rhythm is on point. Now the ideal is if that's what time you want to wake up in the morning, then you you create an earlier bedtime. And you just move it by 15-minute increments, very slow, 15 minutes at a time. You just move it up until that wake up time and bedtime gives you at least 7.5 hours in bed, because then that'll give you a good 7 hours of sleep. Because we wake up about 5 times throughout the night. A lot of them go unregistered, but it's not uncommon. Right. Now, you don't need to be getting up, going to the bathroom, getting a snack, drinking water. Now, unless you have a medical condition. If you have a medical condition, then you may get up. But most of us, our medical condition is our mental condition. We've conditioned ourselves to believe we need to get up, we need to do this. I tell people, even in pregnancy, and I have a 2-year-old and a 19-year-old. At 19-year-old, I didn't know all of this. I was in my 20s. But at 42, I knew about sleep and the value. So the moment that baby thought he was going to sit on my bladder and have me up in the middle of the night, going to the bathroom, I had a conversation with him and I had a conversation with my bladder. And I told my husband, well, we finna see what this conversation do. Either we going to all be up wet, or we going to all sleep through the night. Because what I was not going to do was create a habit of, because I'm pregnant and I'm in this trimester, I have to da-da-da-da-da. No. And my husband will vouch and be witness that I did not get up and go to the restroom in trimester 3 2-3 times a night. No, we did it for 2 nights. We had that conversation, and I slept. And people go like, wow. I'm like, well, what do you think the power of your brain is? Like the narrative of your wife, being a wife, is powerful. So much so that that's how you navigate the dating world and space, and have you on the fence of I want to be, but I don't want to be.
Like, it's a filter, like on my phone is how I look at everything.
And that's it. And so if we can believe that it's that powerful, that our thoughts are that powerful, why are we not believing that our thoughts are so powerful that it can change maladaptive behaviors and patterns?
So this is a conversation that obviously can continue on and on and on, but unfortunately, there is another show that needs to come on right after this one. So maybe this can be part 1, and maybe we can schedule another part 2 for maybe quarter 1 or 2 of next year, if that's something that you'd be interested in.
We can talk about it.
I love the flexibility. So, Village, let me know what you felt about this conversation. But before we go, I want the people to know how they can find you on social media, whether it is your Instagram or your LinkedIn, and also if you happen to have any freebies or anything that you want to give the audience, just so that, they can connect to what it is, the work that you do, because it's so powerful. And I just want them to not just leave here today and just know that there's a sleep therapist that's operating in the world. I want them to know how they can get in contact with you.
Absolutely. So you can reach me at I am L Bell on Instagram and Facebook, LaShasta Bell on LinkedIn, or the best way that you absolutely know that you can always reach me is LaShastaBell.com. In my link tree on Instagram are some goodies, but if you hit me up directly, I'll give you what you need and what you want.
Ow, listen at that. So thank you so much. This has been another episode of Womanhood Decoded, where each episode I am literally endeavoring to do all of the things. But maybe, we need to adjust that. So if there's things that you all want to talk about that I'm not talking about, or if you want to talk about things in a different way and or a different lens, outside of my lens and outside of my lived experience, feel free to drop those in the comments. Thank you so much for being a part of A Village for Us. And again, this has been another episode. So tune in hopefully Friday, because Friday is my other new show, and it is Red Lipstick Conversations. And I'm talking to CEOs and also just anybody that has a life after dark that wants to talk about their after dark activities. So we're going to be doing a lot of exploration because, we have this one life that we know about. There might be other lives that we might have had access to, but we know we got this one life, and I feel like we should live it to the fullest. And I want to end with this. Pursue your pleasure and pursue your peace and pursue your rest. Until next time, bye-bye.
That was great.
Oh, sure. There was people saying stuff on YouTube. See?
Oh, really?
So much stuff.